So we are going to get going. It is my pleasure to introduce our guests today. First of all, and she's the star of the show, and she's getting up close and personal, is Miss Bright and her partner Stormy. So I want to like switch to their screen because they're being super cute and it's stuck on me right now. So here we go. There we go. Look at that cute face. Oh my goodness. So Stormy, I am going to ask you, I'm going to introduce Miranda and Margaret in just a moment here, but I'm going to start by asking the question I ask everybody. How is it that you came to be a PADS client? How did you come to be part of this PADS community?
Well, I started looking into service dogs when I was probably about 17, turning 18. That's kind of when I was starting to come to the realization, well, maybe I should slow down a little bit and stop hurting myself so much doing the things that I thought that I could do, but I couldn't. And so I was looking into service dogs, and I was actually talking to a local trainer here in Victoria that works for MSAR. And he put me in your guys' direction, said, I really think that you'll be a good fit for these guys and that they'll have a dog that fits you. Right, sit. And then, and so I sent in an application, and sure enough, a few months later, you guys seem to have a match for me.
Nice. This girl looks quite smitten. She is very, she's adorable. All right. So I am going to now introduce Margaret, who is new to our podcast, but not new to PADS. Margaret gets to answer the same question. Tell us a little bit about how it was you came to be a PADS. You're going to have to go back a few years. And you have to unmute yourself, Margaret.
I started as a volunteer at PADS in the spring of the year 2000. My husband and I had just moved to Vancouver as he was doing some graduate work at UBC at the time, and we went into a BMO branch at UBC, and on the wall of the BMO branch manager was a picture of a PADS dog. And so I asked the bank manager what that was about, and she sent me on to PADS. At that time, it was a phone number. There was no website. And I phoned in, and we started volunteering just a few weeks later as evening kennel volunteers. It was our Friday night date night at PADS in the kennel.
Nice. That's like, I don't know. That sounds like a pretty perfect date night to me. So that's fantastic. And Miranda, same question. I know you answered this before, but I'm going to make you answer it again. So.
Nothing as romantic as Margaret's. That's really cute. So I started, actually, I was at work at a vet's office that I work at, one of our fabulous sponsors, McLeod Trail Animal Hospital. And a client came in with, if you know Vern, he was very charming, handsome, older gentleman with an even more handsome dog. And I kind of gushed over his dog and was like, how do I get a dog like this? He's such a good boy. And Vern would say, he remember he's like, well, Miranda, we are looking to open up our PADS Calgary chapters. So if you're ever interested in volunteering, you should apply. And I did. I scrubbed my house down because I didn't want to get rejected in case my railings were too dirty or something. That was our date night with my partner, now husband. And yeah, about 12, 13, I don't even know the year. Like it's been
many moons,
forever, few moons. Probably about 13 years later, here I am.
Yeah. And started out by raising the lovely Holly, who is now one of our retired breeding dogs. So welcome, ladies, and thanks for sharing the little bit of history. So for those of you that have just chimed in, I would love for you to find our Q&A button and type in any questions that you have for these lovely ladies. And you can direct, if when you type in your question, if your question is for someone in particular, you can say that, or you can just ask a general question. So find that little button at the bottom of the screen. But in the meantime, I'm going to put Stormy in the hot seat here and tell us a little bit about the process of going through team training with a new service dog, and not only team training, but team training during COVID year. What was that like?
It was very different than what I was expecting, that's for sure. After it all happened, I was very grateful that it was all at home and that I was able to stay home with my mom and my cat and just be in my normal everyday setting and kind of practice using the dog's language and command structure at home in my everyday setting as well. It kind of really made me picture it really how it was supposed to be, you know, real life tests that were being done. So that was really nice. And I struggled with a little bit of anxiety during it as well, which you know, everybody goes through in periods of change in their life. And once we got used to each other though, it went by really fast and the team training caught on quickly and we just seemed to breeze through it really easily.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Margaret, could you speak a little bit to how did you make this match? Like, and Miranda as well. What does the matching process look like? How did you know that Bright was the right dog, or think that Bright was the right dog for Stormy?
Well, we received our expressions of interest, and Miranda combed through them, knowing that Bright is an active, engaging kind of dog for a certain personality style. And when Miranda came across Stormy's expression of interest, Miranda was like, "This is it. This is it." That's my summary anyway. And I think in January of this year, I was on Vancouver Island near where Stormy lives. And so I went for a visit with Stormy and brought Bright along on that visit. And we were really early on in the application process with Stormy at the time, but it just really felt like Bright really connected with Stormy and Stormy really connected with Bright. And so it was kind of an unusual way to make a match, because usually it's the other way around. We have people on a wait list, but in this case, we went the way of, I happened to be in the neighborhood and came by with the dog. Is that about it, Stormy? That's kind of what I remember.
Yeah, I remember being really upset when I went home that day because I didn't know I was going to be matched with Bright yet. And so on the walk home, I was just like, oh man, like I felt like something was wrong, you know? I was like, I was like, oh man, I'm so excited to get a dog, but like, I want Bright. So when I finally did get that call, even just a couple weeks later, what it was from you saying, you know, Bright's your dog. And I was like, yeah, she is.
That's awesome. So we've got a few questions here. Nicole with Walker says, hello, Margaret. And Sorella wants to know, Stormy, what does Bright do that makes you laugh?
Bright does a lot of things that make me laugh, but just recently she's taken up in the mornings after our long walks, which you'd think would get out all of her energy. She waits so patiently, she lets me clean her feet, and then finally once I release her and let her go say good morning to my mom, she gets so excited. She's like, oh, it's finally time to say good morning to mom. I get to barrel over to her and just wiggle in her arms, and she'll, if she's allowed to, and if she's invited up on the bed, she'll run around in circles, like almost on my mom's lap out of excitement. And then she'll just stop, and then she'll be like, okay, I'm done now. That's it. And that really gets us going. We can't stop laughing when that happens. She's just a little nut bar in circles, round.
Oh my goodness. It sounds like nothing's changed, because we did the interview with her puppy raisers a couple of weeks ago and her breeder caretakers, and everybody said she's always kind of had that silly side, which is kind of neat. I think sometimes people have this perception that all of our working dogs are just these serious lumps that you know, just kind of lie quietly and are kind of emotionless, but nothing could be farther from the truth. So that is very cool. Thank you. Lori is asking, Stormy, how has Bright changed your life in terms of physically, emotionally, in general? What does that look like for you?
Wow, Bright has really changed my life quite a bit. You know, when I first applied for her, it was right before a big round of spinal fusion surgeries that was to fix a first round of fusion surgeries that broke. So it was really tough to slow down, go from what I thought was really active to almost no active activities at all. And then once I got matched with Bright, I was kind of healing from those surgeries. And I was really slow, and I felt like I need to get back to what I was, but in a way that won't hurt me. And so when I finally got matched, I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I felt like needed to happen. And when I finally got her, it seemed like my health even seemed to do a complete 180 and just start getting better. My leg strength started coming back when I was able to start supporting myself on her. I found after the surgeries, I wasn't able to walk very much, and it was just really hard. You know, everybody enjoys walking around the house and you know, using the mobility that they do have to do freedom things. And so once I finally got Bright around, and once she started catching on to what I was doing, the first few weeks that I was leaning on her, she was kind of like, what are you doing on me? Like, come on, get off of me. Like, what are you trying to do? And I was like, no, this is good. Like, we can do this. You know, you can get comfortable with me resting on you while we're walking. And sure enough, after like a month, she was like, yeah, let's go. Let's go down onto the beach. Let's go up onto the rocks. I was just like, wow, this is just great. So now that I've been able to get some of that strength back in my legs, I have been able to go down onto the beach again, which has been really enjoyable, and enjoyable for her too, since she loves the water so much, and the ocean and birds.
Amazing. So for those that don't know, so she helps you by bracing sometimes, but does she also work with you when you're in a chair, or?
Does, yeah, she mainly works with me when I'm in my wheelchair.
Yeah.
So that I think that the walking has just been the biggest change for me in my personal life, but in my work and everyday life as well. Going out into the world and having her next to me, knowing that I'm not going to have to be constantly getting in and out and in and out and in and out of my chair.
Yeah.
That really makes my energy at the end of the day, you know, a lot more, and I'm not so tired anymore.
That's awesome. Nicole asked, what would you consider a really good obedience routine for clients to work on with their dogs, especially during COVID? It's like the pro asking the pro.
What I've been doing is after every walk that we do is I always make sure to have a spot in our routine walk that we go through our obedience routine, whether it's, you know, what we do is we go to a park at the top of the hill and we walk through the park, and at the end of the park there's this long strip of pavement, so we practice going up and down through that long strip of pavement, going back and forth, doing zigzags, doing circles, all kinds of little, you know, turns to throw her off and make her think. And then we do some proofing with her sits and her downs and her stands to make sure that she's remembering everything she's supposed to remember. And yeah, it's been going really well. Doing that every day, just kind of keeping it in our routine, really keeps her, you know, quick and on her feet.
Nice. And for those watching that aren't familiar with the term, proofing is when we ask a dog to do a behavior. So let's say, for example, sit. And so if you were to tell a pet dog to sit and then maybe you walked away from them or walked towards them or maybe gave a little tug on their leash or something like that, they might take that movement or that tug or whatever to mean that's over and now follow me or something like that. And we want our dogs to obey the cue even if different things happen. So just kind of making sure those cues are really kind of bomb proof. So Carol Ann is asking, does Bright have a special skill that she really enjoys doing for you?
I think, Bright, can you sit for me? Come on, you can do it. That's it, girl. I think one of my favorites and the cutest is Bright Chin. Good girl, good chin. Chin, yes. And if you, I always tell my mom to hold her hand out and tell her chin, and she comes running over and poops her head in her hand, and it's really cute. So that's my personal favorite, but that's just a silly one.
Yeah. And Gwyneth is asking, how do you reward her? Is it treats? Is it positive affirmations? What does that look like? So when she does a good job.
There's lots of ways we reward Bright. Lots of cuddles and kisses, of course. She's grown to like them from me. At first she was like, I don't know about this, but now she's grown to even come in for a kiss and even bump me for one. And lots of treats though. She loves treats. That's it. Good girl. Yeah, she's really big on food.
So that sounds like a Labrador. So, yeah. All right. Sorry, there's a lot of questions coming in today. I'm not used to this. So thank you, everyone. Just give me 1 second to sort through. So Lori is asking, do you have any advice for those of us that are waiting for our match?
I think just be patient. I think that PADS does a really good job at making sure that the dog that you're getting is going to match your lifestyle and really be perfect for you. Once we went through team training, the other girl that was in our call, once we were getting to know each other, I realized, her dog definitely wouldn't have been a good match for me. Like, I wouldn't have been able to have a fulfilling life for that dog and for me, in terms of, just what that dog likes to do. And the dog I ended up being such a perfect match for me that, I really think that waiting is really worth it.
Yeah. And Margaret touched on at the beginning about how, you were on our expression of interest list, and you were only kind of like partway through the process when the team realized that this was probably the best match. And I think sometimes when we get those phone calls from people saying, how long is your wait list? It's a really hard question to answer because we really are at the end of the day trying to take that, these dogs are not cookie cutters that are going to fit with just anybody. So it's very cool to see the very clear bond that you have already with this lovely girl. And Miranda, Margaret touched on, you saw the expression of interest and went, this is it. What was it about that expression of interest that seemed like such a good fit for this girl?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, Bright and Hammond were kind of ready for placement both at the same type of time. And I saw Stormy's expression. I was like, wow, super dynamic person, really great fit for a PADS dog. Looks like she could benefit from some balance stuff. And Hammond, I had been exploring with him some balance bracing skills. So he would have come pre-programmed with what Stormy ended up training Bright to do. But going through the process, once we speak to people and get to know them and you go, oh, because basically my expression of interest is just like a form with some words that describe a person's lifestyle. And you go, oh, okay, this person's lifestyle is like, might fit this dog, could fit this dog. The skill set of this dog fits this person. And then, Margaret was able to meet Stormy and go, no, this dog, this person, because Hammond's not her dog, right? Or, dog A doesn't always necessarily need to, doesn't always necessarily jive with the personality of person B. And so I think that's part of the, that little extra something that we are able to do, because it's dogs, like I can have a dog with a perfect skill set for Stormy. Like Hammond was a really good fit for skill set for what she was looking for a dog, but was not the right personality at all, right? Where Bright truly matches her name. She is kind of effervescent and a little bit silly and often a little bit serious, but always waiting to just explode with good times underneath. And it makes me so happy to see how well Stormy has done training her to be her perfect service dog. Because I think that's something we kind of forget, is that the clients, when we give them these amazing dogs and we hopefully do a good job matching their personalities, but I mean, in the background, here's Stormy doing an amazing job making her dog fit what she needs to. So it's a partnership between the client and the dog, as well as, you know, us being like, here's 50 cues and a test, which can be, you know, very anxiety inducing, but it's really incredible to see the transformation of that dog and that person's, Bright and Stormy's, partnership together and seeing them blossom as a team, which I think is the most exciting part.
I think too, you touched on something that I think is really important, and I want to clarify for those that aren't super familiar with our program. So Miranda was Bright's advanced trainer, which means those 50 cues were all the things that Miranda taught her to do before she went to Stormy.
And her puppy raisers.
and her puppy raisers. I'm sorry, absolutely, her puppy raisers. So there's a lot invested in Bright before she went to Stormy in terms of laying that foundation. But what excites me particularly about this match is hearing how Stormy has kind of built on that and continued to train Bright. Because for a dog like Bright that loves to learn and loves a challenge and loves to work, I think that's part of the beauty of the match as well. So that's something that continues and that is kind of supported by the team you see on the screen. So that's amazing. So I'm going to put one last call out. If there's any more questions, feel free to pop them in the Q&A box. And I will read them off. But ladies, is there anything else that you'd like to add that you would like people to know about this amazing match that has occurred? And oh, you're going to jump in, Stormy?
I was just unmuting myself.
Unmuting yourself. Yeah. So what does today look like for you? How about tell us that? So, I mean, other than your power going out at home and having to race down to work to do this interview, you know, what does an average day look like with Bright? Tell us about that.
Well, you know, on a normal day, we're working from home actually. And so what we do is we go out for a walk in the morning, and, you know, we have our mornings, breakfast and all that, you know, average morning like anybody else, I think. But then we get working, and, you know, every now and then I drop something from my desk and need it picked up. Every now and then Bright wants to pick something up for me, so I just got to go with it and go, you know, let's have a little bit of a training session, even though I don't really need it. And then, yeah, then we, you know, go through our day, and she helps me out a lot at home. And then sometimes we'll come to work. And so that morning walk will be a walk to work instead. And so we will come on over to the ceramic studio. You guys can probably see there's some ceramics behind me here. These are what I call my favorite mug, and they're the Big Daddy mugs. A couple years ago, when all of the staff members had an opportunity to be like staffer of the month, we could name a mug after ourselves. And so I declared the Big Daddy mug the Stormy mug.
Nice.
Just because I thought it was funny. And so Bright helps me out here at the studio. She picks up lots of pens for me and passes them to me in the chair. I'm known for flinging pens around the room. Just when I'm not writing, I've got a pen in my hand and it's shaking back and forth. And if I let it go, it's going across the room. So Bright's got to go get it. And yeah, it's been really nice for my coworkers as well to learn and see how she helps me and how they can help her help me as well. So yeah.
And there's one last question here, and I think I know the answer, but does Bright have a special vest for bracing, or does she just use her normal vest?
Right now, we're just using her normal vest, but we do have one in the works with one of the PADS gals over there, I think in Calgary. And so they're making one for me with just a little handle on top for me to hold on to. So it'll be a little easier to reach over and grab her vest really quick.
Nice. That's fantastic. All right. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining us, all of you. And it now looks like Bright's having a nap. So
Right. You want to sit? You want to say goodbye? Come on, you can do it.
I'd like to come.
There you go.
Always ready to work. Hey.
Yep. There you go. Good girl.
All right. Well, thank you, all four of you for joining us, and a special thank you as well. We call her our silent participant, our lovely Lanny, who captions everything for those that are tuning in that need closed captioning. So thank you, Lanny. We really appreciate you coming and just making things a little more accessible. And so this is the last episode in this particular series, but we're excited as we go into the coming weeks to highlight some of our class of 2020. Graduation is going to be a little bit different this year, but you will be meeting more of our clients as we go through the coming weeks. So be sure to kind of stay tuned to our social media, and we'll let you know once those we have those announcements ready to go. So thanks, everyone. Thank you, Margaret and Miranda, for jumping on. We appreciate y'all. And lots of thank yous coming in through the chat. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. We're glad to have you. Bye now.